Hey everybody, it's Kevin from 3D Printed Props. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I printed, painted, and weathered this really cool Lawgiver bust from the Planet of the Apes. So one of my favorite franchises are the classic Planet of the Apes movies. Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowall, all those guys. Love those movies. And one prop that I really wanted to do for a while is the Lawgiver. So he's the one that developed all the ape law after the Big Bang and of the nuclear holocaust, and the apes took over from conquest of the Planet of the Apes after time and time went by. And he came up with the laws. Of course, the big one is ape shall not kill ape, which happens, but he came up with it. This is a bust. I actually have on my site these files right here, 3dprintedprops.com, but I have files for the entire Lawgiver, the whole body, that I keep wanting to print a life-size version of and put it in my garden. And I'm still dying to do it. I just don't have the patience to print out, using Laban or Laboon or whatever it's called to chop up a file and print out like 300 pieces and then glue it all together. I will someday, but today is not that day. Today I just decided to do the bust. And it was super fun to print up. It is a resin print, but the weathering was really neat. I did some different things on this to give it this sort of stone concrete-y look. So let's go ahead, without any further fanfare, if there was ever any fanfare, head behind the fake wall and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so this is a pretty big resin print, and I printed this on my Piapoli Phenon L, and you can see there are some layer lines and a little bit of shifting there. I think I printed this actually during the winter and I was having some issues. So I'm going to use this putty that I really like. Make sure you wear gloves. And it's a sort of a polyester putty, and it dries super fast and you can really smooth it out. And I'm using this stuff now instead of using the Bondo glazing putty, because this doesn't shrink and crack. If you've used that before, you've noticed that it'll shrink and crack, and that's a pain. You've got to apply it again. Whereas this stuff smooths on really, really well and dries super, super fast and sands really, really well. I'm really happy with it. And you can actually water this down with, I believe, acetone if you want a little bit thinner, but I'm finding it right out of the tube works really perfectly. So I hit some of the spots here, and you got to remember this is a rocky surface, so I don't really want it to be too smooth, but like layer lines, linear lines, you got to get rid of those. So I modeled up a base really quick, and this was just an easy guy in Fusion, PVC rod, and that's all we're going to need. Now I'm going to use this textured paint, but I couldn't because it was clogged. So I said, I'm just going to use some sand. And what I did was I was painting outside, and I just used a standard gray paint, spray paint. I believe it was Rust-Oleum, and then I just tossed sand at it from the bag, and it looks better than that paint does because it isn't uniform. I'm able to sprinkle it around and put it where I want it. So to weather, I'm just going to use some of that black acrylic paint that we saw, both the black and then the bone color, because you don't want to go with white. You want to have a little bit of an aged look. And I'm just putting it on with this thick bristle brush and spilling it everywhere. And of course, wiping away some of it with a paper towel, because you don't want to just sort of let it sit there too long, or it'll get maybe a little bit too dark because it is paint and it's going to soak into that primer and into that sand. So brush it on quick, wipe it off, get a little bit of a modeling look like this. You can see not wiping it off uniformly, so it's a little bit darker in some places, a little bit lighter in some places. And I'm going to go over the entire statue, the entire bust like this. And again, just a little bit here, a little bit there, leaving it dark in some areas, letting that dry, and then I'm hitting it with that bone color. It's a non-bleached titanium white, because I don't want it bright white. I want it a little bit subdued, and I'm just dry brushing it on here, picking up the edges, and you can see how that really gives the thing shape and gives it life. High points you want to hit. These are areas where sun would be hitting it more, maybe people were touching it, and it really starts to set off the statue, the bust, to really have some shape and really have some life to it. And this is just a makeup brush, and I'm putting very, very little paint on it, wiping it off in a paper towel, and then lightly dragging it across. Then to dark up some of the seams and some of the folds here in the skin, I'm just going back through with some black and then some watered down acrylic, because I want that sort of look like, you know, this thing's been out in the rain for a while and it ran down. So I'm just building up these dark layers and sort of streaking it so that it looks like this is really aged and we're getting streak marks. Again, I'm going through and adding some black to these areas, and I put a bunch of black paint in there. It was watered down quite a bit, but then I went ahead and just gave it a squirt of water just to get this running look, because I really wanted to look like this thing sat out for a long time with grit and grime just running down it. Now let's get a closer look at the finished model. I think the weathering on this really sets all the features off. It looks really super cool, just like it's ready for a museum. Love this piece. This is a really good example of when you're working on a project and something goes askew, something isn't working out the way you think it's going to work, pivot. Think of something else that will work in that situation. The sort of texturized paint wasn't working. It gummed up. That's why I don't buy that stuff anymore, but I thought I'll see if this other stuff is still good that I had in my garage for a while. It wasn't, and then I said, well, wait a minute. I wanted to have a sandy look. I grabbed some sand, threw it at the wet paint, and I love it. I will do that from now on and not buy that types of paint. So again, don't get upset. Don't sort of freak out. Change your plan and regroup, and it'll work out. It'll work out. You're doing this for fun. So this guy I love. It's definitely going to go on my desk. I can't wait to put it upstairs in my office. You can get these files, of course, over at my website, 3dprinterprops.com. I also have the full-size Lawgiver, and it comes in two versions, full size, all chopped up, and like a 12-inch size. I should probably just print that, but I want to print a full-size one. But we'll see. That's going to probably have to wait because, again, I don't have the patience to do that. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click like and subscribe, hit the little bell, and that will tell you when more videos are out. As always, I will see you in the next one, and take it easy.